Hey! Mike called, already 10 paces behind us. Edward ignored him. You look awful, he told me, grinning. Put me back on the sidewalk, I moaned. The rocking movement of his walk was not helping. He held me away from his body, gingerly, supporting all my weight with just his arms. It didn't seem to bother him. So you faint at the sight of blood? He asked. This seemed to entertain him. I didn't answer. I closed my eyes again and fought the nausea with all my strength, clamping my lips together. And not even your own blood, he continued, enjoying himself. I don't know how he opened the door while carrying me, but it was suddenly warm, so I knew we were inside. Oh my! I heard a female voice gasp. She fainted in biology, Edward explained. I opened my eyes. I was in the office, and Edward was striding past the front counter towards the nurse's door. Mrs. Cope, the red-headed front office receptionist, ran ahead of him to hold it open. The grandmotherly nurse looked up from a novel, astonished, as Edward swung me into the room and placed me gently on the crackly paper that covered the brown vinyl mattress on the one cot. Then he moved to stand against the wall, as far across the narrow room as possible. His eyes were bright, excited. She's just a little faint, he reassured the startled nurse. They are blood typing in biology. The nurse nodded sagely. There's always one. He muffled a snicker. Just lie down a minute, honey. It'll pass. I know, I sighed. The nausea was already fading. Does this happen a lot? She asked. Sometimes, I admitted. Edward coughed to hide another laugh. You can go back to class now, she told him. I'm supposed to stay with her. He said this with such assured authority that, even though she pursed her lips, the nurse didn't argue it further. I'll go get you some ice for your forehead, dear, she said to me, and then bustled out of the room. You were right, I moaned, letting my eyes close. I usually am. But about what in particular this time? Ditching is healthy. I practiced breathing evenly. You scared me for a minute there, he admitted after a pause. His tone made it sound like he was confessing a humiliating weakness. I thought Newton was dragging your dead body off to bury it in the woods. Ha ha. I still had my eyes closed, but I was feeling more normal every minute. Honestly, I've seen corpses with better color. I was concerned that I might have to avenge your murder. Poor Mike. I'll bet he's mad. He absolutely loathes me, Edward said cheerfully. You can't know that, I argued. But then I wondered suddenly if he could. I saw his face. I could tell. How did you see me? I thought you were ditching. I was almost fine now, though the queasiness would probably pass faster if I had eaten something for lunch. On the other hand, maybe it was lucky my stomach was empty. I was in my car, listening to a CD. Such a normal response. It surprised me. I heard the door and opened my eyes to see the nurse with a cold compress in her hand. Here you go, dear. She laid it across my forehead. You're looking better, she added. I think I'm fine, I said, sitting up. Just a little ringing in my ears. No spinning. The mint green walls stayed where they should. I could see she was about to make me lie back down, but the door opened just then, and Miss Cope stuck her head in. We have got another one, she warned. I hopped down to free up the cot for the next invalid. I handed the compress back to the nurse. Here, I don't need this. And then Mike staggered through the door, now supporting a sallow-looking Lee Stephens, another boy in our biology class. Edward and I drew back against the wall to give them room. Oh no, Edward muttered. Go out to the office, Bella. I looked up at him, bewildered. Trust me, go. I spun and caught the door before it closed, darting out of the infirmary. I could feel Edward right behind me. You actually listened to me. He was stunned. I smelt the blood, I said, wrinkling my nose. Lee wasn't sick from watching other people, like me. People can't smell blood, he contradicted. Well, I can. That's what makes me sick. It smells like rust and salt. He was staring at me with an unfathomable expression. What? I asked. It's nothing. Mike came through the door then, glancing from me to Edward. The look he gave Edward confirmed what Edward had said about loathing. He looked back at me, his eyes glowing. You look better, he accused. Just keep your hand in your pocket, I warned him again. It's not bleeding anymore, he muttered. Are you going back to class? Are you kidding? I would just have to turn around and come back. Yeah, I guess. So, are you going this weekend? To the beach? While he spoke, he flashed another glare towards Edward, who was standing against the cluttered counter, motionless as a sculpture, staring off into space. I tried to sound as friendly as possible. Sure, I said I was in. We are meeting at my dad's store at 10. His eyes flickered to Edward again, wondering if he was giving out too much information. His body language made it clear that it wasn't an open invitation. I'll be there, I promised. I'll see you in the gym then, he said, moving uncertainly towards the door. See you, I replied. He looked at me once more, his round face slightly pouting, and then, as he walked slowly through the door, his shoulders slumped. A swell of sympathy washed over me. I pondered seeing his disappointed face again. In gym. Jim, I groaned. I can take care of that. I hadn't noticed Edward moving to my side, but he spoke now, in my ear. Go sit down and look pale, he muttered. That wasn't a challenge. I was always pale, and my recent swoon had left a light sheen of sweat on my face. I sat in one of the creaky folding chairs and rested my head against the wall with my eyes closed. Painting spells always exhausted me. I heard Edward speaking softly at the counter. Miss Cope? Yes? I hadn't heard her return to her desk. Bella has gym next hour, and I don't think she feels well enough. Actually, I was thinking I should take her home now. Do you think you could excuse her from class? His voice was like melting honey. I could imagine how much more overwhelming his eyes would be. Do you need to be excused too, Edward? Miss Cope fluttered. Why couldn't I do that? No, I have Mrs. Goff. She won't mind. Okay, it's all taken care of. You feel better, Bella? She called to me. I nodded weakly, hamming it up just a bit. Can you walk? Or do you want me to carry you again? With his back to the receptionist, his expression became sarcastic. I'll walk. I stood carefully, and I was still fine. He held the door for me, his smile polite, but his eyes mocking. I walked out into the cold fine mist that had just begun to fall. It felt nice. The first time I had enjoyed the constant moisture falling out of the sky as it washed my face clean of the sticky perspiration. Thanks, I said as he followed me out. It's almost worth getting sick to miss Jim. Any time. He was staring straight forward, squinting into the rain. So, are you going? This Saturday, I mean? I was hoping he would, though it seemed unlikely. I couldn't picture him loading up to carpool with the rest of the kids from school. He didn't belong in the same world. But just hoping that he might give me the first twinge of enthusiasm I'd felt for the outing. Where are you all going exactly? He was still looking ahead, expressionless. Down to Lapush, to First Beach.